So this is a pretty difficult video to get through, especially if you're a parent. I know I am, and there are many people who watch the Coffee Pod who are parents. But this woman reads these stories of regretful parents, people who wish they didn't have children anymore. And when you hear these parents sometimes talk, which the majority of them are women, moms, you wonder how safe are the children that they are taking care of. Now, she presents this like, oh, we're building this community of women who were lied to about being mothers, that it actually comes with responsibility when all we wanted to do was probably live a soft life or eat, pray, love, or whatever else that goes into the insertion of modern women's delusions of how they believe life should work. But check this out. Regretful Parents Part 53.
This was a hard message to read. It's fairly short, but I want to ask you to please be kind in the comments and please just put yourself in someone else's shoes rather than rushing to judge, because this message is a little harsh and it could be easy to jump to judgment, but please reserve judgment and just put yourself in this woman's shoes. She says, I hate being a mother. I have 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. There are 2 fathers. One of them is a great father. The other is an alcoholic. Throughout the years, I've sacrificed everything. My youth, my time, my career, my life to be a full-time mom. Because at the time, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Not because I wanted to. But culturally, once you're a mom, that's it. You give up everything. Your happiness, your life, your career. I'm just so miserable. I hate being a mom. I hate my kids. Obviously, I don't starve them or beat them. I just do the bare minimum right now. I take them to school. I make dinner. I buy them the things they want and need, and that's it. I don't go out of my way to spend time with them or have fun with them. In fact, I avoid it as much as I possibly can. I don't date at all. I never have men around them because even though I hate my children, I don't like the idea of men being around them in case one of them is a creep. What I'm trying to get at is I hate being a mom. I wish I was free from them, and sometimes when I let thoughts get the best of me and let my mind run, I think how I would feel if I just woke up and they were gone. Poof, magic. Like the movies where they wake up and the life they dreamt is actually just that, a dream. I can't wait for them to grow up so I can finally have my freedom. But it sucks because then I'll be old. How unfair.
Wow.
This
So let me first say this. In the beginning, she says, reserve judgment before you judge, right? Because you're not supposed to give your opinion. You shouldn't judge others and tell people what you think when they get on a public platform and spew off this type of nonsense. She says, put yourself in the mother's shoes first. And you know what? I actually thought to myself, let me see where she's coming from. I don't get it. I don't get how we're in a generation where people expect more sympathy than children. She decided to have 4 children. She could have stopped at 1, and only one child would have had to deal with the experience of being raised by a mother who hates them. Let's make sure we remember that she plainly stated and boldly stated that I hate my children. There's so many chicks out here, bro, who you have to make sure they understand. Overall, my channel is a channel for men, even though a lot of women tune in. And I just want to make it clear that if you're somebody who plans to start a family and find a woman or a wife, that you vet that chick very, very seriously, that you sit down with that woman. Does she have a history of seeing what it takes to raise a child the right way? Does she understand the gravity of the situation? Because she says, oh, I have a good father, and the kids have a good father and they have a bad father. One's an alcoholic, the other one's pretty good. How do you think those guys feel? They must know, they must have regret that man, I can't believe I set my seed up to be in an environment with a woman, a mother who actually hates her children. No, we will not give this woman sympathy. You are a grown adult. We don't ask to be here. You never asked to exist. So when you decide to go out and exercise your God-given talent that is given the human race to reproduce, and you make that decision, you're bringing life into this planet and you are responsible for it. Everything about most people that ends up being a point of a traumatic experience usually stems from their childhood. How do you think these children will end up growing up having a sense, because they may not be able to put their finger on it right now. Right now, they're just like, oh, I wonder why mom doesn't smile at me, or why she turns me down for hugs, or why I cry. Because it's just didn't start in their older years. The part of them, one of the most difficult is the first introduction to raising up children. I'm a parent, and there are plenty of parents who tune in here on the coffee pod. When you have a baby, that first introduction is rough. They will eventually realize that something wasn't right when it came to the relationship between them and their mother. And when they do, they will be effed up. The way you relate to life, the confidence you have when you go into life depends on the people in your life who you know have your back. You know you can fail in life and take risks. Oftentimes people who are very, very driven, high, confident personalities usually have a really great support system. You're destroying these children's confidence. You're ruining them before they can even have a chance in this world. And you will most likely regret this. The bare minimum is not enough for children who need attention, care, nurturing. It's a form of neglect. It is a form of abuse, even though she tried to make it clear that, oh, I don't beat them and so on and so forth. I just want to wake up one day and wish that they were gone when I woke up. Very unfortunate, man. Very unfortunate. Let's read a few of these comments. What do you guys think? Top comment says, I fear this is exactly how I would feel if I ever have kids. Somebody else who says that is valid and exactly why no one should ever judge anyone else's choices around this X. Another person who says you will, maybe not every day, but some days, don't do it. So this whole community is a community of women who regret having children. And she says, so effing unfair, right? In that video, she says so effing unfair. We have the largest demographic of entitled human beings, I believe, today. Most of these chicks, in my opinion, I believe even if you gave them the life that they think they're supposed to be having, the life that they see online, you know, the life of traveling and whatnot, they would just complain about the next thing. If they were single and childless, they'll complain about how it's hard dating and finding a partner as a single and childless person. Life is about mistakes as well. It's about living with decisions and mistakes you made in your past and shouldering those. You can't go back. Yes, it's unfair. Life, it's a part of life. And so sitting there and crying and complaining about it in any given situation, especially when it's something you can't change, really does not help you. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't express yourself, but are you going to make the people around you suffer? Okay, I understand maybe the adults in your life, but the children who you created suffer? Somebody else here says, okay, but why did it take 4 kids to realize? Somebody else here says, I think it was probably the second relationship, but yeah, I never understand why people keep popping them. Here's somebody else who says this part, it says, and now all of them are going to be emotionally traumatized, being raised by someone that hates them. Very true. So here's something I've personally realized recently since we introduced our son into my family. I've realized that when I hear stories about children, I used to relate before and relate from a perspective of, oh, I probably know what it's like or can guess what it's like to be responsible for a child. And I did not understand the half of it, man. When you actually have a child and you see like all this violence, especially when children are involved, or you see someone who's neglecting children, and you actually are a parent, it just hits a little bit different.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
It's tough to take in. It's tough to take in. Somebody else here says, I bet many women feel this way. She just blunt and straightforward. That's something that I could see being sadly true. You know, we live in a generation of modern women who want it all, which is why, man, I say, if you're a guy and you're out here dating, you got to make sure you have a conversation of what do you think relationships mean? Because a lot of modern women, if you're a man dating today, will jump into these relationships, marriages, having a false idea. Their definition, how they define it, will be all wrong. Ask them, what do you think this is? Oh, I think it's going to be this. We're going to be traveling. It's going to be so much fun. No, it's going to be work. People who don't have children report that they're more happier. Now, if you want to feel fleeting happiness every once in a while, cool. But if you want to feel joy, accomplishment for the life you've lived, fulfillment in your life, which comes with work, nothing is easy, nothing. Then you take that path. You take that path. And that inner peace and that joy is long lasting, and I believe more sustainable when you know you have a solid community and family around you. Another comment here says, those kids know exactly how she feels about them. That's a fact. That's a fact. Somebody else here says, she doesn't hate her children. She just resents them. I get it. Ma'am, shut up. She said she hates her children. Stop trying to sugarcoat and repackage what she's saying. She said, I hate my children. Because it sounded bad. Now you want to come over here and try to make it sound better. And here's another comment that says, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. She just yearns to be alone, but does still care about them. Somebody else here says, this is incredibly sad. It's also unfair as the dads get to opt out. Another person here added, just because it's understandable to resent your kids does not make it well. If it's my time to be honest, I have more sympathy for most prisoners than I do regretful parents. Ooh. The vulnerability of a child. Like you really got to think about it. Life is hard, man. To come into this world and just to intentionally, neglectfully be set up for failure is one of the things that as I get older and as I experience fatherhood more, I just see as it's just one of the worst things. So much about your upbringing predicts your future. And to think that they're just a bunch of young children and babies just being exposed to toxicity, violence, and horrific situations is highly, highly unfortunate. One more video here from this chick. Let's check it out.
I never wanted to be a mother, but I was careless and got pregnant. It was the worst news I have ever experienced in my life. The only thing I could think about was how I had ruined my life forever. My first thought was to abort, but the laws of the country where I live do not allow it. Everyone was happy except me. Everyone loved the baby except me. My pregnancy, although it was a good one, it was a sad one. The day my son was born was not one of happiness. Sadness and dreadfulness took over me, and the only thing in my mind was, this is how my life has ended. Nothing is mine anymore. And I couldn't do anything to change it. My time is no longer mine. My body is no longer mine. I have no freedom or autonomy. I cannot do what I want when I want. My son is already 5 months old, and I don't feel love for him. I never did. I treat him with kindness and respect because he is not to blame for my irresponsibility. I hate everything that comes with being a mother. I am the default parent, and I hate it. I lost my identity. I am no longer me. Now I'm just the mother of. I became invisible. I suffer from postpartum depression. I cry every day. I have anxiety and anger attacks that are sometimes very difficult to control and manage. I never thought I could feel numb and suffocated at the same time. I take refuge in my work. Those hours that I'm not with my son are the best of my day. I lost all desire to be with my husband. Just the thought of intimacy and it resulting in another pregnancy gives me a visceral feeling. My stomach turns and hurts.
So this woman is married. I don't know if she said at the beginning there. I was too busy getting caught up in the fact that she is actually responsible for this. And she'd have been more careful if she wanted to avoid it.
Luckily, I have a wonderful husband who has helped me a lot and who is with me at all times. He helps around the house and does not judge me for what I feel and think. I will be starting therapy soon because I can't deal with this anymore by myself. I need help. If I could turn back time and stop all of this, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Life is not a game. Bringing life into this world is not a game. And I think more people need to err on the side of this will be difficult. It will be more challenging than it will be all these wonderful times. And if you don't plan to have children, then you have to be extremely, 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 extremely careful because it is your responsibility at the end of the day. Now, I understand postpartum is a real thing, and mothers do need help when they're going through that, very much so.